So Shudder just dropped the first two episodes of The Creep Tapes, starring Mark Duplass returning as the Creep. This is definitely not the first horror franchise, to take their films and turn it into a television series, right? Like Chucky did it most recently. Evil Dead has done it, where they take what should be, the next movie and say, hey, and why don't we do it episodically on
Yeah.
television? That seems to be a pretty popular way to go with things now. I know some people really don't like that, and I can understand that, but with this being 20-minute long episodes and there's going to be 6 of them, that brings it to about 2 hours of content. So it's basically like a 2 hour anthology movie if you want to
Hmm.
see it that way. Now, if you didn't catch it, the Creep took over the Shudder Instagram
Yeah.
page for a day,
That was
and
cool.
they made it seem like their account got hacked by the Creep, and he was posting videos of him talking and one of his foot for some reason.
Yeah, just, general creep stuff.
So that added to the fun of it. I
Yes.
marketing is always, a really good way to get you hyped up, and this is one of the more fun ways to hype it up recently. So let's talk about these episodes. So we'll do some spoiler free thoughts really quick, and then we'll get into each episode and talk about our thoughts, spoilery discussion. So yeah, I mean, this just feels like a direct continuation. This is exactly what you expect it to be. He just has such a good way of coming off as both somewhat like he loves to play this like awkward weird guy
Yeah.
who people think is just maybe eccentric, and they kind of feel bad for him.
Right, right.
But really he's just a really true traditional antagonist. Like, he
Yes.
just loves to antagonize
Yes.
people.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, I think this is clear in the films as well, but like when it comes down to it, he is an antagonist, as you said. Like he actually really enjoys messing with people.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes across like I think he does a great job. Like one of the reasons that the character works so well is that there's like a good level of believability with the like awkwardness where like you said, like maybe he's just eccentric or misunderstood or whatever, but at the same time, there's always so many red flags, which I love because it just adds to the tension and like suspense while you're watching it because you know that he's a serial killer, so you're just like, this is only gonna go badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the runtime, because the movies are like an hour and a half, um, I like to look at those two films that we've gotten thus far as the people that he encountered that he was really vibing with. Because what I
Mm.
see this as is this is almost like an audition for a partner, a friend,
Mm.
something that he's looking for.
Yeah.
And I think some people intrigue him more than others. And the two movies we got are characters, or, the people within them are people who intrigued him long enough to make an entire feature out of it, as to where I think these people aren't as interesting to him. So he kills them off much quicker
Mm. Yeah.
than he kills the other ones off.
Yeah, I think that's true that he's kind of like I also agree, like sort of auditioning people in a way. But that's a cool way to look at it too. Like, yeah, maybe these are just like slightly less important than the films. But he does seem to act like all of them matter to him too. So,
Yeah,
but
I think he, like, in a weird way, he wants to respect the fact that they're gonna die.
Hmm.
So he has this weird, you know, kind of
Yeah, it is like a respect or like a not a reverence, but
something,
yeah, there is that aspect there too.
which is
Hmm.
what makes him even scarier because he's so aware of what he's doing,
Yeah.
right? This isn't, there's no plausible deniability that this guy is like out of his mind in a way where it's like, well, maybe he doesn't know what he's up to, or, there's some kind of insanity plea where he's not in control of his
Mm.
actions. No, this guy is fully aware. He purposely manipulates everybody
Yeah.
and he uses their weaknesses against them, whether it's money or whatever. He knows how to he really knows how to play people,
Yeah.
and he knows how to keep them around way longer than anyone should
Yeah.
stay around in this kind of situation.
Definitely, definitely. We'll get into that, I'm sure, as we talk about the episodes, because that is something that, like with any found footage, like there needs to be a motivation for the characters to stay in a situation. And I think that there's a pretty good job done in these two episodes. Um, Maybe a little questions about the second, but something that we can talk about more because
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's more of a character flaw, if anything.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, he just jumps right into this role once again.
yes.
I mean, this is absolutely the guy from the first two, but he likes to play characters. He's always himself to some degree, but he likes to shake things up a bit and try different things and see how far he can push it. And I think that's the fun of it for him is like, how long can I take this? How far can I push this? What story do I have to tell them? And he just likes to change things up and try new things and be like, all right, tonight I'm going to be this, tonight I'm going to be that. And it's like all improv to him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he loves the thrill of getting to see how far he can push these people before he has to inevitably end them.
Right.
But it's like it's all in fun for him. He doesn't like, I genuinely get the feeling that he would be very proud of them if they were to get the best of him and kill him. Like, he doesn't
Oh
seem like
yeah.
somebody who
Yeah.
would be, you know, angry with them. Like, I think he's like genuinely rooting for them in his head. And even not even in his head. He very much, I think he means a lot of what he says. And it's always, you
Oh
got to
right.
decipher
Yes.
what's bullshit and what isn't. But he
Yeah.
seems like this super genuine guy
Yeah.
who just wants to cut the bullshit and talk honestly, all while planning and plotting their demise.
Yeah, it's a weird combination of like like honesty is something that comes up all the time for him, despite the fact that he's constantly lying and like,
Sure, he's a
deceiving
hypocrite.
people, but he does also like know when people like he knows that he's being weird and making them uncomfortable or whatever. And so when people kind of are like, "Oh no, like it's fine," or like, "Yeah, like just kind of what everybody does whenever they encounter somebody who makes them uncomfortable, or I should say what most people do, which is like, yeah, you kind of just play along with whatever so that you don't cause like some type of like freak out. But he can tell, and he always wants people to like admit things to him. um so yeah, but I agree. I think that there's like some part of him that is like genuine in what he says to them, like when he's encouraging them, or when he's like, for example, in the first episode, there's like a filmmaker and he's like telling him like, your short film wasn't that great, but like has potential and like all this stuff. So I think he means that.
I also think what I think it really comes down to is, I think in order for him to kill them, he wants to find the honest, true self before, he ends them.
Like he wants
Like,
to see it for himself.
he wants to pull out the genuine person that came
Mm,
over, and so that
right.
he gets to experience who they actually are and spend that last moment with them.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Instead
But he's
of,
looking for something. There's something he's looking for.
yeah.
Is there a way that you could get out of this without dying? is there like a person that could come around? I know in the second film, it definitely felt like he connected with that girl
Yeah.
more than anyone thus far of the four people we've seen now, between the two films and these two tapes thus far. I am curious. I also hope, because there's variety now and we're getting multiple people and we're not just dealing with one person. I do hope that we deal with more than one person. Which I don't think we're going to do this season because I already saw the title names. It's always just him and one other
Mm,
person, which I guess he doesn't like to stack the odds against himself.
yeah.
But
Which makes
also,
sense.
I do hope that we do get some variety in their reactions, and
Yeah.
he also maybe meets his match.
Sure.
Because not everyone's the same.
Yes.
Some people are gonna freak out, and some people are gonna want to fight instantly and are gonna go more feral,
Yeah.
and some people are going to be much more docile, and
Right.
some people are going to see the red flags and be like, absolutely not, I'm the fuck out of here
Yeah.
instantly. So I do hope we get a little more variety out of the characters, because I feel like these two characters we've gotten so far, Mike and Elliot, are too similar.
They're pretty similar, but I also feel like there's some differences between them for sure. Especially with Elliot, I think that his character is a lot more like sweet and kind, whereas Mike
Hmm.
felt maybe just
He's
like
just there for the
quiet.
money.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying though. Like I do think that it would be fun and interesting to see different types of people reacting, while at the same time it would also make sense that we would only see people that are kind of the same in their reactions, because these are the ones that like he gets the tapes for, because he kills them because they like stick around longer than they should. So I could also see it being still a lot of the same type of reactions.
Yeah.
So that will get maybe a bit like repetitive, because obviously when we deal with it in the film, we're with that one person for the entire time, whereas if we're seeing like 20-minute episodes of like new people each week, that's definitely going to be something where it's like, okay, like this is a new person, like you do want to switch it up a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into the episodes. All right. So spoilers from here on out. If you haven't watched it, it is streaming on Shudder. We are getting the first two episodes today, and then one episode a week from here. At least I think it's one episode a week from here. Maybe it's two per week. I don't know. Think it's one a week from here, though. So maybe for the next month, we'll be getting an episode, and we'll talk about them as they drop. So, first episode, Mike. He always loves this $1,000. Seems to just be his go-to.
Yeah.
It's always $1,000.
I mean, like it's
It's a nice round
it's a
number.
nice round number. It's a believable like large amount of money too.
Yeah.
It's not, although I
So
mean,
if you
I don't
said
know.
10,000, it would be like too much of a red flag.
Right.
If it was like 100, it wouldn't be enough.
Right.
Yeah.
500 is like, like I don't know if I need it, but when you're like $1,000
Yeah.
for 10 minutes or for like whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a little bit more believable.
But Mike gets himself, I think, about 4 grand by the end of this, right? Because he gives him
Yeah.
1,000 to start, then another 1,000, and then he offers him two at the end. So I think he had like 4 grand. But
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. He gets trapped in this situation. I mean, that's definitely also something that I think will be interesting to see, is like the locations and the areas that people are in, and like how that plays a part of it, because he would have left, but it starts snowing and he gets like snowed into this cabin.
Yeah.
Um
You think you read the weather report?
he should have.
Yeah.
And but he didn't know that he needed four-wheel
No, I
drive.
mean
Oh,
the creep.
yes, I do. I think he planned it and
Yeah.
then specifically looked for somebody that didn't have four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Because he like I'm assuming like he obviously like vets all these people before. Like he doesn't just like,
Oh, yeah.
he like knows this guy. Like he knows that he like what kind of car he drives and like all of that. So he was prepared for like, yeah, it's gonna snow and then he won't be able to leave. Um, but yeah, like that's it's a trap, right? Like he's stuck there. Now, if he really wanted to go, he could just like start walking, I guess, but I don't think he would have gotten far.
You'd freeze to death. Um, yeah, I you're really screwed in this situation once you put yourself in a compromised position like that. That's why I'm saying like that's why you got to change it up, meet your match, whatever. Because a lot of people, especially in America, are gonna show up with guns. Like I would guarantee if you called up like 10 people to the house,
Yeah.
you're gonna have at least a couple show up packing. They're gonna be strapped.
Yeah. I mean, definitely guys.
Yeah,
I would for sure think,
and yeah.
but
So we do get to see Peach Fuzz in this episode, which I was wondering how long they would wait to unveil the iconic Peach Fuzz mask,
yeah.
but very quickly
Yeah.
brings it out in the shower. It's not really used to much effect. It's really just a scare,
Hmm.
Mike, but it was good to see it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we'll see it again.
I think for sure.
His like Dracula speech when he's coming down the
So
stairs,
funny.
fun
Like that's
introduction.
yeah, it's great cuz like yeah, that's the kind of thing where he's like, this whole first episode is him like telling the truth about being, the antagonist and the villain and everything. But that's the exact kind of interaction where it's like if you were in that situation, you'd be like, this is really weird. I'm really uncomfortable. But you'd also be like, but I kind of feel bad for him because he's like trying to make this like real.
Yeah,
So yeah,
the misery
the misery
scene.
recreation, so funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice James Caan wig, whatever the hell that is. That's supposed to look like James Caan.
yeah.
That was funny, and yeah, I as much as Mike wants to shit on his acting, I think Mike needs some acting
Mike's
classes.
not an
He's
actor
not.
though. He's like, I'm a camera guy.
Yeah,
I'm a filmmaker.
yeah.
I'm behind it, behind the camera, not in front of it.
But the scene in the end here, where he goes on his little monologue about uh, setting the stage for the scene and then explaining exactly how they are and then talking about the axe and the hand with the
Yeah,
blood on it and then he's like scared and then when he goes to give him the high five with the other hand
yeah,
it
it's
has
great.
blood on it and all that whole scene is fantastic.
Yes, yeah,
Just such tension building and
yes.
it's like it's prolonged forever.
Well, and it has that scene also like has the great like what this for like what the franchise and what the character does so well, which is the combination of like it's funny but also like really fucked up.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, it's the antagonization I was talking about, where he has him like behind the tree, and he's like, "Oh, well, guess it's over.
Yeah.
Like, where are you gonna go?" And he looks like he sees the car, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna go for the car?
Yeah.
That's an interesting move." He's like, "But I think I'm closer."
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's
Yeah.
just pure. It's you know what it seems. You know what it reminds me of. Actually, it reminds me of like an older brother picking
Oh
on his
yeah, kind
weaker
of.
little brother,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely has
Like,
that
oh,
vibe.
you could go for that bat,
Yeah,
but
it's very
I
patronizing.
probably, yeah, I'd probably get to
Yeah.
you. I'd probably get to the bat before you. And if you try for that bat, I'm just gonna have to beat you with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely has that vibe. Very condescending,
Yeah,
very patronizing. Yeah.
yeah. Um. So and then yeah, axe to the back and to
Axed
the
all over.
yeah, and of course yeah, little shining homages.
Yes.
One thing we can definitely take away from our creep, whatever the hell his name is, his real name, because he says his name and this is Jeff Daniels.
Yes.
Um, but one thing we can probably uh, be sure of here is that he loves films. He
He
loves to
does.
constantly talk about movies.
Yeah. In this episode and the next one, he
Yeah.
references films a bunch throughout. So yeah, it's that's fun.
Well, he's like, yeah, I mean, he's like a filmmaker,
Yeah.
right? He likes to make his own horror films,
Right. Yeah.
but he just wants to make them real. And he talks about I think that's in the that's in the next episode, so we can jump into the next one unless you have
No,
something
no,
else to
yep,
say.
that's fine. I think this one's yeah, I think I've said everything probably.
They're short.
They are short, so there's not like a ton to talk about, but
And next one is Elliot, my daughter's name,
yeah.
spelled exactly the same with only one T. There's quite a few ways to spell Elliot, so when it was spelled exactly the same, that was pretty surprising to me. So we have this bird watcher, Elliot,
Yep.
and he is given these coordinates. Now, I can only assume, I don't see any other way that this would be, that he is the guy who gave him the
Oh,
coordinates. I mean,
absolutely.
there's no other
100%.
way to interpret that.
I mean, the whole like conversation that he has with him about like baiting birds and like, kind of trying to take them home and like having like that's all about him with his
Yeah.
victims. Yeah, 100%. He's the one that gives him he's the community member that gives him the location.
So I'm curious on, so there's a boot sticking out of the
Yeah.
parachute, and then he like runs up on him and is like yelling, "Give me a bag!" And of course, this is the bag that he's American Beauty referencing because of the whole scene with Wes Bentley's character talking about how beautiful life is by just watching a bag float around and whatever. But also is the bag he ends up strangling him with,
Right.
which is foreshadowing. Um, but is his character shoeless? Like, does he have one shoe missing from his foot? Because he's not. If he there's a shoe laying there, and then he comes up and he's wearing both his
Oh
shoes,
yeah, that's a good point.
that would be like, where are your
I don't think he
shoes?
noticed, but you're right. I don't know. I don't know if we ever see his feet. Like we
Yeah.
do obviously when he's like away from the camera. I never paid attention to it.
I don't think he put that shoe on.
He either put it on somehow or
I mean, they could have put it on the way to the car because we
yeah.
don't see that happen.
Yeah. I don't know if we see him shoeless or not when he runs up the first time. But that would be an interesting thing to note because yeah, like if he already had both of his shoes on, but like the guy, Elliot is kind of like just shocked because he's this guy. He thinks this guy just crashed down. So he's maybe not like paying attention to those types of things. But that's a good point.
Of course, he offers him $1,000.
Yes.
It's almost like it's like he's playing off of these people's either their greed
Yeah.
or their desperation, or it's almost like he's buying the rights to kill them.
Right.
Like, I
Like I'll
paid
pay
you
you
money,
$1,000 to murder
and
you.
it's like, if they take it, it's now like they've entered a contract with
Yeah.
me. If they don't take the money, maybe he wouldn't do anything. Like, I'll be curious on, do any of the people in these episodes get away, like without
Sure.
him, like him kind of behind their back deciding like, I like this person, I'm
Yeah.
not going to kill him, and they don't ever know, and they like leave not realizing that they just met a total psychopath that was going to
Yeah.
kill them.
That would be interesting. Maybe. We'll have to see.
I hope so.
That'd
I
be
hope we
cool.
get an episode where he likes someone so much that he decides ultimately not to kill them and makes them think it's all a big prank, and then they leave there like, ah, you almost got me, and he's like, you have no idea.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Yeah. So that's a hope of mine for sure. And I don't, so I can only, okay, I is Elliot gay, and is
Mm.
is the creep playing in on that? Because there's a lot of like subtle flirting going on in here, where he says some stuff to him, and then of course like the admit you're obsessed with me and this kind of stuff. um I feel like there's a flirtation going on. Now, as far as the creep goes, I honestly don't know if he even cares about anything like that. I don't think that's even like part of who he is, like sexuality. I think he just likes to antagonize, and that's like his romance language.
Yeah, I definitely felt like there was like flirtation going on, but I also feel like that's just kind of like another way to make somebody uncomfortable
Yeah,
because like a lot of people, like whether you're gay or straight,
sure.
if
Even if
anybody
Elliot's
starts like
gay,
flirting with
yeah.
you, that you're just like, you don't know, and they're saying like I'm a little obsessed with you, and you're like you just met them, like you're just kind of gonna be like,
He makes him admit it when he's just like, okay,
yeah. So my whole thing with Elliot is that he seemed very sweet and like kind, but also very much a pushover. Like
sure.
he didn't try and fight back at all. He was just like, "Can we not yell? Like, can you bring back?" Like the guy's driving away with his car and everything, and like his reaction to all of it is just as like as calm as you probably could possibly be in that situation. I could think of so like if somebody did that to me and they like started driving off with my car, I'd be freaking out.
Oh,
I'd be
of
like, they're
course.
taking my car like and leaving me here in the middle of nowhere. So yeah.
I mean, I think the best line of this episode is when he talks about like you have to see that bird before you die,
Oh yes. Yeah,
right?
that's a big moment.
So I think yeah, he does go out and purposely find where that bird is and then drives him to that spot so that he can kill him in front of that bird as he looks at it. And he does, that's more foreshadowing for his
Yeah.
death. Now, the guy on the outside, right, Elliot's sitting there like, oh, you got to see this before you die, and he's not thinking anything of it. Like, yeah, like, but us, the audience, knowing who this guy is, it's like so obvious. He means like, yeah, you better see that like right before you die. So that's a really great line. And then of course he does see it and then he kills him like moments later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which of the two did you enjoy more?
Probably the second one.
Oh,
I
okay.
think maybe. I don't know. They're both good. They're both like kind of the same level for me. I'm excited to see more. And as we've already said a few times, like I'm hoping for some more variety in the people and seeing what new characters he comes up with. Like I think that'll be the big fun of the show.
Yeah.
So what about you? Did you have a favorite?
um Probably the first one,
Okay.
but I'm like you, I'm pretty close on them both.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun addition to the Creep franchise, and I'm looking forward to seeing new Creep tapes
Yes.
per week.
That'll be
Put them
fun.
next to the Poughkeepsie tapes and the
No. Nothing
no,
goes next to those. Those don't no.
no. You think that? What do you think that the Creep would think of the Poughkeepsie tapes if he watched them? Would he
I
be like,
don't
"This
know.
guy's a
He'd
fucking
either be
freak"?
like, yeah, this, or he'd be like really pretentious about it. Because that's the other thing. I think he's kind of pretentious.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think he would like the way that this guy does the things that he
yeah.
does.
I think he'd be like, this isn't right.
Yeah. He'd be like,
Like
no, I try to
you're
make,
missing the point.
yeah, you're taking the fun out of it.
Yeah.
This guy's too angry. He needs to chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely has a good time. Like this for
Oh,
him
he
is
has a lot of
fun.
fun. Yeah,
I think this is the only way he can have fun.
probably. Yeah, it's probably what he looks. I mean, he plans it the whole time. When he's not doing it, he's like stalking people and finding his next victim, and so
Yeah,
that's all he does, I
it's the
think.
thrill of the hunt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, Creep Tapes episodes 1 and 2 currently streaming, and we will get episode 3 next week.
Yeah.
At least episode 3. I think it's one a week.
Yeah.
So,
So
let us know what you thought. We'll see you in the comments.